night, everyone, and welcome to Season 3 of Dialogue with the Diaspora. I'm Diane Haylock, your host. Our diaspora comprise the thousands of Belizeans who have migrated away, are born abroad to Belizean parents, or are descendants of Belizeans living abroad. This community of Belizeans form one of Belize's greatest assets. Our diaspora represents a dependable source for professional expertise, cultural retention overseas, as well as economic development via investments, savings, and remittances. Over the past 2 seasons, we have thoroughly enjoyed catching up with Belizeans all over the world who are making their mark in diverse fields, or those who just have amazing stories to share. We believe that through constructive dialogue, we are able to teach, inspire, and strengthen the bonds among Belizeans at home and abroad. And that is why we are here for Dialogue with the Diaspora. Our dialogue starts off tonight with a Belizean who has been very active in promoting economic development for Belize in Florida. Michael D. Young, Jr. is the Executive Director of the Belize American Chamber of Commerce and Managing Partner at MDY Enterprises. Michael, it is an absolute pleasure for me to welcome you to Dialogue with the Diaspora tonight.
Thank you very much for having me, Madam Diane Haylock, and your team over at Colorblind. So thank you very much for it. It's an honor and a privilege. Thank you.
Yes, I'm looking forward to catching up with you. It's been a while. Michael, perhaps we could start off by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and your family ties back here in Belize.
Well, yeah, thank you. Born and raised in Belize, you know, I consider myself rice and beans, right? And then, you know, born and raised in Belize as a young boy and so forth, and then left and went to study, you know, pursue my educational aspirations in Florida, in the US, via the state of Florida. But never, heart, soul, spirit, never left home like many others, Belizeans, you know, clamoring and trying to find a way back home and to be relevant. But being in the US, being Belizean was my identity, and just as the same with our fellow Belizeans within the diaspora community. So born and raised in the city of Belize and also the country, consider myself city mouse and country mouse, and then tempered in Florida.
So let's go back a bit to when did you actually migrate to the US, and what was that transition like?
One word or 2 words, culture shock. And this was back in '98. Even though we, you know, a lot of us Belizeans, we frequent South Florida, Miami, and so forth for shopping and for vacation and recreation, you know, but you know, Simia and live with me are 2 different things.
You could say that again.
You know, living in South Florida, you know, it's a melting pot, just like Belize, and that was one of the things that drew me to South Florida, plus the fact that it was only an hour and a half away from home.
Okay, so Mike, yes, we're talking about your migrating to the US and what that transition, you know, was like. I understand that you basically left at the time to pursue tertiary level education. So maybe you could tell me about that part a bit.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it. Yes, I did leave to pursue my educational pursuits. You know, but to be honest, Miss Di, I had a hard day's picnic, right? So I got a market 3 times. So
I like that one, but I have not heard that one in a while. Yes.
a while, right? Yeah, yeah. So what happened is went there with a purpose, and of course, got distracted, like all of us, especially young black males, impressionable and stuff like that. But was searching to find myself and my purpose, and thank God I have found that. On my own identity, who I am, and why I'm here, and so forth. And it's like the saying goes, the two great days in your life is the one when you're born, and the other one when you find out why, right? So I've always kept Belize on the sleeves, wear it on on the vest, on the chest, just like many other Belizeans in the
Indeed. Indeed.
U.S. abroad. I mean, look at yourself, Mr. Represented our country well over in Asia and so forth. But in my educational pursuit, I got my bachelor's, I got a few masters, some of which are in law. I have a master's in international law and also a master's in banking law.
Okay.
But it's more so about what you do with what you learn, and also self-taught. And you can't knock hard work, which a lot of Belize, we have a strong work ethic from the people of Belize. I always say that one of our best resources from Belize is our people.
Absolutely.
So we work hard, and we play hard too, but it's you can't knock hard work. There's no substitute for hard work, and also the realities of life. Practically, you want to call it street, you want to call it, whatever.
So, Mike, tell me, what made you stay? What made you stay in the U.S. after you finished your university stints?
So, we got like, you hear the term rat race in the U.S. and so forth. And even though we're in South Florida, Miami, it's not like New York or California, Chicago. It's all different Texas. It's all different speeds, different. But you get caught up. A lot of our young Belizeans and so forth, when they leave and they migrate and they go study, they have all intentions of returning. But then sometimes it's like, okay, I return, but maybe there's not the opportunity that's necessary, or they get an internship, and then the internship leads to a job, or they start a family. So you get caught up in the rat race. Like I mentioned earlier, I feel like a hamster wheel when we migrated over there. You're running, but you're not going anywhere. You're just running in circles, just to make a living, just to, to get by, and so forth. And that's why they say, like, a lot of times that there's the land of milk and honey and opportunity, but you don't know all the crap that you got to do to maintain it. Not only get it, but maintain it. That's why they say that the quality of life back home is better, because it's not as much stress, right?
It has its stresses, Mike. Let's not romanticize it. It has its stresses, but I fully agree with you. I mean, I would rather be in Belize than anywhere else. So,
And you're
yeah.
traveled.
Yes.
You're traveled, so so that comes from a real perspective, right? So yeah, they say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you don't know the crap or manure underneath to make it look greener. So, count your blessings, and
But this Belize is a really precious jewel, and I want to segue into looking at the fact, as you have said, and as I know, you have maintained strong ties with Belize. Maybe you could talk a bit about your connection in that respect, in terms of your professional, your career, how you have utilized, your professional training to then make that connection with Belize? I mean, there's the familial ties, which goes with, those ties go without saying, but the professional part of it. Talk to me about a bit about that.
Yeah, thank you. The yeah, of course, the familiar ties, it goes deep, but it goes back to identity. Finding out who you are, what your purpose is, and I can't shake it. It's weaved into the DNA from granddad on both sides, to dad and so forth. But I'm in the business of Belize. And that's what I chose as my lifelong commitment and journey and so forth. And discovering my own skill set, I said, okay, well, how can you impact? How can you provide an impact? How can you better? How can you help those around you, those from your community, those from your village, and mine? I discovered in myself that, I'm a strategist. And apart from being a strategist, also, I recently discovered I'm also a business engineer. You don't hear that term, but it dawned on me. You have civil engineer, you have even financial engineers, but I'm a business engineer where you can put different elements together, through good business. Rockefeller said it, a friendship based on business is better than a business based on friendship. Good business, you can't, it's through trade and so forth that, communities and countries and so forth are able to connect and good trade. So I use my business skill set, my business acumen, which was, thank God, it came as a natural thing to me where you can spot the opportunities and elements and where there's a potential matchmaking. Creating bridges, bilateral trade, these are all lovely theoretical things, but I'll give you a real case in point that I come to mind. For example, in our efforts in 2013 with the city of Miramar, who we just recently had the investment forum, that city was established in 1955. And it has the same amount of people. It's comparable to Belize City. Same population, same mixture. You have Chinese, you have Black Caribbean, you have Latin Caribbean, you have European, you have, it's the same mix. And it's a space in South Florida where it's in between the two major international airports, Miami and Fort Lauderdale. And the first ever MOU that city has signed was with Belize under Mayor Darrell Bradley, under his administration. And then Mayor Wagner has followed through with it as well. And one of the takeaways from the MOU, you would think it would be just trade and so forth. No, it was education. We tried to connect the library and the friends of the library in that city with the national library system in Belize under Ms. Joy, right? And just through the relationships. So it's about finding the opportunities, the diamonds in the rough, because usually it's right there in front of your face. And it takes someone, to either show you or, illuminate, what the possibilities there. We also spoke to the firefighter, because that city actually won City of the Year for the entire state of Florida on a national campaign. So one of the other conversations we had was with the firefighters, fire station, how their city asset can help with Belize City and so forth. The exchange, you have students, there's another story. You have students who migrated to Tampa or Central Florida or Jacksonville, North Florida, all through education. You have UNF, in North Florida. That's a 30-year relationship. And his Honorable Patrick Farber actually went there, I think summer of last year, to commemorate that 30-year relationship. That relationship started where you had students who come from Belize and they were given access to a university in the state of Florida through a relationship, through someone who is a part of the university system 30 years ago, connected with someone from Belize. 30 years later, now you have families who have migrated in that area following that tadpole. There's another example, American Airlines. American Airlines has had the route, the monopoly route on South Florida for almost 30 years again. The story behind it that I learned from our fellow diaspora people in South Florida is that how that came about. Some Belizean was a part or connected or knew someone at the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce. And they said, okay, what about Belize? They raised their hand, what about Belize? And then the execs at the time flew down and met with the powers that be at that time. And now you have everybody know American Airlines to fly to Miami. Yeah.
So there, Mike, there is trade, there are educational opportunities, there are possibilities for investment through the connections that you have made over the years. Maybe you could talk with us a bit about I think there was the economic investment and economic investment forum, economic investment and economic development forum. I think there was one that was held recently in the city of Miramar. Maybe you could tell us a bit about that. What was that forum itself seeking to achieve, and what the successes actually may have been?
So it's a full circle. So again, when we signed that MOU with the city of Miramar back in 2013 was when we were part of putting on a doing business with Belize seminar with Broward County. Broward County is the county where Fort Lauderdale sits. Right? So you have the municipal level, you have the cities, and then you have the county. And the county is the ring fence where the cities are situated. So Broward County's Office of Economic Development put on this. They do the series with other countries. I mean, Canada, Singapore, Asia, our Caribbean counterparts. So we did this event in 2013, and come to this date, the doing business with Belize segment that the county put on, in comparison to the other countries, was the most sold out, most participated, 150 plus professionals that showed up and so forth. Fast forward to today, right? Where the Belize Investment Forum, BIF, we call it, like the character from Back to the Future, BIF, right? Fast forward, it's our 5th annual this year. We brought it back to South Florida, city of Miramar, because we had taken it on tour on the road to Houston 2 years.
Yes,
so
I remember hearing about that. Yes.
So we did it in Houston in 2018 and 2019, and the city of Houston gave us a proclamation calling February 28th, 2018, the Belize Forum Day. So that's on record. And we went back again in 2020. So 2019 and 2020, because we did it right before the pandemic shut down, globally. And we said, you know what, my team and I, Ms. Rishma Eckert and I and our board, we said, you know what, let's bring it back to South Florida. Let's bring it back home. And we did. And it was a success because of the participation from Belize. We had a major participation from Belize, from from the government side with Minister Kareem Musa, Senator Darrell Bradley, and Mayor Bernard Wagner, and they were leading the charge on the delegation, and we even had the Prime Minister of Guyana show up with us, right? So that was pretty good. And with the investment forum, what made it different this year? One of the most important things that's important to everybody right now is access to capital. Whether it be to start a business or to keep going, and so forth. And Belize has a lot of potential in terms of our people, entrepreneurism, and so forth. So what we wanted to do is create that access to capital. And what we did was when we were forced to sit down during the pandemic, right? We were all forced to stay put and put on weight. Um, you know, we got busy quietly, and we've got an agreement with an investment bank out of Houston. And the investment bank has its own crowdfunding platform. So with the work we were working on for a year, this investment forum, we had the launching of a crowdfunding platform, and also we announced or unveiled not only our development fund, licensed with the federal government in the US and so forth, and pointed towards Belize, agriculture, renewable energy, and so forth. But we also included the diaspora by registering the first ever Belize American credit union.
Sorry, the Belizean American.
The BACU, the Belize American Credit Union.
Okay.
So, that is going to be a drawn out process, because we have to go through compliance and proper, application and due diligence and so forth. But the entity itself is registered, and we're working closely with the regulators in the state of Florida and so forth. And that is why today I'm talking to you from the Holy Redeemer Credit Union on behalf of the Belize Credit Union League, because we all know how important the credit unions are to our community, to our people, and so forth. Not taking away anything from the banks, right? But this is more of a community initiative, diaspora, and so forth. So the difference with this year, right, and Belize showed up in numbers, and we got to thank Mr. The media and so forth, and you guys for allowing us to tell the story. But this year, it's especially with what's going on with the shift, the paradigm shift for the future when it comes to digital, when it comes to the blue economy, economy based on water, not just on land. All these initiatives, it's all coming together. It's a beautiful thing. And it's a type of thing that once you get hit with it, you can't shake it. It's a good thing. It's positive. It's clean. And then you just keep pushing forward to see how we can break the mold and create more opportunity for our people.
But tell me a bit more about this Belize American Credit Union. It's actually based in the U.S., but who's going to be the shareholders there? How will this work? What?
Yeah, so this is similarly like the credit unions back home, and also the credit unions outside. The credit union will be owned by its members, by its shareholders, and because it's a financial institution on U.S. soil, yeah, you have to be a U.S. resident or a U.S. person and so forth, right? So, we're going to rally up the Belizean community in the different states, California, Texas, New York, Chicago, Washington, Georgia. And what we will do, so the credit union will be for the members, and we will put in place the proper executive or management team to help run it. compliantly, because it is state regulated and it's also federally regulated, right? It's a highly regulated industry, but the whole point of it was to organize, centralize, and mobilize the diaspora, the community, and for give a mechanism where it not only can help those, because the Belizeans abroad struggle too. Don't be fooled by everybody struggle, right? In different levels and different capacities. So this is an opportunity to help them with a small payday loan, or getting their first car, buying their first home, or medical emergencies and so forth. But the other side of the coin is for us to have our own institution that can give back, that can lend to those in Belize who actually need the additional help, or the boost, or the push. And that help will be spoken with US dollars. Because as one of my other colleagues had said, non-Belizean colleagues said, you cannot have social justice without economic justice.
Indeed.
So, our approach is from a socio-economic, from an economic standpoint. We speak up with our dollars, and we show up, and we show support for each other. And when there's unity, there's more, there's strength in unity when you combine, as long as the purpose is good, and those who are involved, participators, have good intentions, because there's room for everyone. There's a term I coined, it's, in Creole, it's "Dano mi da we," right? And I came to find out that Muhammad Ali had the same poem, the shortest poem in the world, "Me we," right? And I didn't know about that. It was until one of my elders and mentors, when I told him about the "Dano mi da we," was like, "Oh, did you know Muhammad Ali had the same thing, me we?" And I was like, "Wow, that's amazing. That's pretty cool. Didn't know that." So I'm spreading it. I'm sharing that information, to stimulate the minds, and to also for call to action, And you don't have to come with a lot. You could, a simple idea can shift, can change the tide. So that's what we're about. We're about just showing up and do your part.
Okay, viewers, we will take a very short break, but we will be right back. So you've been involved in these different types of initiatives to drive investment to Belize. I wonder what that journey has been like for you, Michael, more directly. What has this journey been like? I mean, I'm sure there has been challenges, roadblocks along the way. Talk to us about that, because it's not about painting this rosy picture.
No, I agree, Miss Di. It's about being real, and trust me, it's not. It is it's a rocky road. It's not it's not for everyone, right? It's not. It's weary, it's tiring, but there's a lot of times when you want to give up. You put your trust in the wrong people, or the timing is not right, or you get, you invest everything, or you give your time and your sweat, and you pass up on other opportunities, and it doesn't work out, or someone does you wrong, or you make a mistake, and and then you're only as good as your last party, right? So if you make a mistake, and you don't let the mistake define who you are. The failures are actually lessons, and there've been a lot of failures. The key is to keep going, keep walking, don't give up. Dad used to always tell me, Dev, the road to Damascus is paved with good intentions. So one of the things I countered eventually with him, I said, okay, Dad, you know what? No longer on the road to Damascus. We're on the road to Zion. Because you don't give up. You fall down, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you keep going. As long as you believe in what you're doing. So yeah, what you see now is 15, 20 years of grinding, grit, scratch the elbow, scrape the knee, dusting yourself off, keep going. And then it's funny. I always say life is ironic because the savior that you're looking for usually comes from the most unsuspecting place or source. It's seldom usually the ones who you say, oh man, you know what? I think that person could help me. Nah, it's usually, but it's part of your destiny, and it's part of the the spirit of it, and so forth. So my takeaway, and I'm more convinced in it now, as long as you can keep going, and as long as you have your mind and your health with you, you could lose everything, pick yourself up, and you keep going no matter what. And you pass it on to the next if you have to, right? As now, I'm a middle child. I have my respectful elders, and then you have those coming behind you. So keep going. Don't persistence, perseverance. It's real.
So, how do you measure success then, Michael?
I measure success in terms of how much impact you have done for um, your family and others. That's the best you can. It's not money comes and goes, but it's the content of your character, the integrity, what people say about you when you're not in the room, and how you touch them. So that's how I measure the success. You find your purpose, and no matter what it is, just do the best that you can, and go, and believe in yourself and your confidence. Everybody have a role to play, so you just you follow what's in your spirit, your heart, what that quiet mind, what that quiet voice is telling you, when no one's around, or no one else is looking, or no one else is watching.
I know that you're in Belize right now to participate in this major economic forum that our government is holding, which is going to be in San Pedro, over the next couple of days. So I know that you're here for that, and I want to ask you, what do you see then as opportunities, maybe perhaps coming out of this forum, and generally opportunities for the future for our Belize?
Yes, I think it's a wonderful and a great initiative. Sometimes because of politics, it's misconstrued, but I think it's a good thing, and it's a natural follow-up to the event that we have and been having over the years. Like Minister Kareem said, it's a natural. Our event was a natural precursor, and that is why we reached out and we said, "Come, Beltrade, come Belize, come use our platform to attract those who we are looking for on the ground zero in Belize." And we actually have a few attendees from our membership, from our corporate membership, from our relationships, who have been interested in Belize for a while, attending. And there's one key example, the Cahoon Project. the National Cocoon Project, headed by Mr. Rudy Castillo. That is something that I think is just spectacular. The potential is huge, but it requires a lot of heavy lifting, rolling up the sleeves and follow through and getting it done. That's one aspect on the agricultural front, and I think that just went through cabinet as well and just got adapted and national. So think of it like I consider the cocoon like Mayan coconut. That's how I describe it. It was there, it's indigenous, it's there with the Mayan culture, and it grows abundant across the nation. There's like over 1 million acres of the cocoon just growing raw, wild, and so forth. So to take that natural resource and convert it into a national industry, like the sugarcane industry. But this time, you learn from those industries and say, no, this time, this project and this industry is for the country.
But that seems to be the thing that is perhaps missing sometimes, that we have a lot of these natural products and they're really, they're there. The resources are out there, but we're still having some challenges perhaps turning these things into industry, because to a large extent we still do things on that subsistence level. So people go and they pick some cocoon and they take it to the market or the roadside and they sell it. But how do we turn it into industry so it has viability, long-term economic viability? It's something that I think we perhaps need to think about a lot more than we're currently doing. Would you say?
I agree totally, Madam Dai. It's to scale it up and so forth. And we have some brilliant people on the ground here in Belize when it comes to our agricultural products. One of which was my school colleague, Mr. Gilly Canton Jr. Minds like that, these guys, they know what they're talking about, right? You have the BSI, ASR, you have Santander with the sugar and so forth. But you see, so it requires that industrial support. It has to be on an industrial level, like you said, and that is on an international level. So you have to work with the foreigners and the experts and so forth. However, we do not give up our seat at the table, right? We work along with, we strategically partner with, and on how to create that ecosystem that will work for the country. We bring in the experts with the technology, or who knows how to build a plant properly from scratch. So this project, I think they're going to be very selective, very careful to make sure that we learn from previous industries and private that where the country doesn't own the industry, a foreign entity or persons do, so they're paying eyes wide open, and it's about that, the PPP, the public-private partnerships, working together, right? It's a fluid thing. It's never cookie cutter. Every situation is different. My dad was the attorney that brokered the ASR BSI deal, and I was proud to be somewhat of a witness to see, because he was the attorney for BSI for years. And what happened? BSI needed the help, they needed the assistance. So you had ASR come in and they got majority ownership of it, but Belize still has a healthy stake, right? And it's the approach. And it's also with the foreigners that you invite, you want to work with the ones who play well in the sandbox. right? So attitude and intention is important. And that's why I say it's not cookie cutter. Every situation is different. You
How
have to
do
gauge different.
how do people who Belizeans in particular who are interested in learning more about investment opportunities connect with you? Because it's all about connections. It's about networking. As you said, none of us can go it alone. So how do we put you in touch with other Belizeans who might be interested in investment opportunities?
Well, the best way at this point is to just contact our offices via email. They could do a Google search, Belize American Chamber of Commerce, um, the website, belizeamericanchamber.org, but I would be remiss if I do not also mention our strategic partners in that initiative, which includes on the private side, Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, headed by Ms. Kim Aikman, and also Beltrade. Beltrade is another key source of information. So that's my Bermuda Triangle when it comes to Belize. We're boots on the ground in the US, and our grandparent is the local chamber in Belize, because BCCI turned 100 last year. And put that in perspective, the Chamber of Commerce for Belize is 2.5 times the age of the country. Belize turned 40 this year, right?
Yes.
So they're important, and it's the streamline to get straight to the point and get to the right people who you need to. And then of course the government agency Beltrade. They have a wealth of information and so much resource that they can also lend. So, and we have a good working relationship over the years where we pass, if something comes through our desk, we vet it and then we say, okay, no, the best place for you to go, sir, is over there or over here. Or you know what, we'll take you and we will hold your hand and so forth. And with then you have the consulates and so forth in the state of Florida.
Okay.
Or the US or regular US or even England, right? Or Taiwan, or your neck of the woods where you were stationed. It's the opportunity. It's a beautiful thing, but of course we have to get our house in order, right? There's a lot, like you said, they're not all glitz and glamour and rose. It requires discipline. It requires sacrifice, and it's not easy. Walking the good road is not easy.
Well, Mike, unfortunately, that thing time that we always need another minute of has just run out on us. So I want to let you know how much of a pleasure it has been for me dialoguing with you. And I know for sure, as you said, that your heart is in Belize, and I know that we can look forward to much more of you in terms of your participation and contribution to our development effort in our country. So thanks for being who you are. Thanks for being a part of our country's development, even though you're not physically living here. But yeah, more time. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, and God bless, and all respect, Madam Guy.